Hey, Next Worlders, Rachel here at Index for the Next World. I wanted to hop on for a moment and talk about needs and strategies, what they are, how they're different, and what they have to do with design thinking for your life, for any design thinking process. So I use the phrases needs and strategies in line with the framework of nonviolent communication, which is a framework developed by Marshall Rosenberg that has a lot of different takes on it. People feel a lot of different ways about it. I'm not really here to promote it or denigrate it or anything like that, but rather to cite my sources in sharing where I got this particular way of relating to the concepts of needs and strategies. So, for me, a design thinking process involves first and foremost assessing needs. That can sound kind of dry, and it's one of the things that unites a lot of different kinds of design processes. So, when an architect is starting an architecture project, when an ecological designer is starting a landscape project, when a design thinking coach is starting a design thinking coaching project with someone who, say, wants to redesign their career. One of the first things, if not the first thing, that we're getting into is what are the core needs? Why do you want to make a change? What is this design supposed to do for you? But asking it in that way isn't always the best way to get to that information. So if you're doing a design thinking process for yourself, whether you're redesigning your kitchen or your next project for work, whatever it is, you're first doing some noticing and then some needs mapping. I call it needs and values mapping. And you can find out more about processes for doing that in some of the other videos on this channel. But what are needs versus strategies? Strategies we actually don't approach until we get to the ideation and brainstorming process of design thinking. So it's really important that we can differentiate between needs, which are what we're mapping at the beginning, and strategies, which is what we're brainstorming once we're trying to come up with possible prototypes and solutions to our problem. First, we get to know the needs, then we generate possible strategies. So, in the framework from Nonviolent Communication of universal or semi-universal human needs, we all have a lot of needs in common, and needs can't be in conflict with one another. For example, my need for nourishment and your need for nourishment are both needs. They're not opposed to each other. When we start to talk about, well, there's not enough to go around, which, by the way, there's still enough food on the planet to go around, so that argument is a little tricky. But we're talking about strategies, ways of meeting the need for nourishment. Here are some ways I could meet the need for nourishment. I could eat a sandwich, food in my mouth. I could drink a smoothie, liquid. I could take a supplement or a pill, right? So not technically food still going in through my mouth. I could have IV nutrition. I could have like other types of direct medical nutrition, right? Those are all ways of meeting the need for nourishment. So a lot of us would say the need is food, but some people can't eat for any number of reasons. They might be eating through a line in their arm or a tube in their stomach. There are lots of different ways to meet the need for nourishment. In fact, being in the sun is one of the ways that a lot of us get our vitamin D, right? So the need is nourishment, and the strategies are sandwich, IV nutrition, the sun, smoothies, all these sorts of ways of meeting the need. So in a design thinking process at the beginning, we might be noticing a lot of things that are wrong with our current strategies. Like every time I'm in my kitchen, the counters get way too crowded and I can't actually get enough space to work. Okay, so the counter is a strategy. The way the counter is organized, those are strategies. My needs are spaciousness, right? Workflow, easeful workflow, these sort of core things. And often this is where our values come up as well. So we might have a need for a sense of respect, right? My boss is always criticizing me. Like I need my boss to stop criticizing me. The need is actually, so I might think that my need is for my boss to be nice to me, my boss to do a certain thing, but that's actually the strategy, right? My needs have to do with respect, clarity. I might not have clarity of communication. The reason that it's really great to differentiate is that there are a lot of different ways, a lot of different strategies to meet a given need. So if we know what our needs are, sort of at the heart of it, our needs are in the kitchen, easeful workflow, spaciousness, literal physical space. I have a large wingspan and I knock stuff over a lot, whatever those things are. Things that I can reach without pulling my neck. So ease of access, right? And there's a lot of different ways to accomplish those things. Then we are ready. We are wide open for brainstorming things that we might not have thought of if we were really attached to one strategy. So if I was like, the thing that I really need in my kitchen is I have to have a kitchen island. And it might turn out that that strategy is too expensive, way too disruptive, too time consuming, and I don't get access to my kitchen in the meantime. What needs would it meet for me to have a kitchen island? Why am I excited about that idea? Then when we move on to the brainstorming phase, we brainstorm lots of different strategies, ways of meeting the needs, including ones that maybe sound really out there or wild, but because we know what our core needs are and we can always go back and check, we have the opportunity to continue to come back to brainstorming if we can't figure out a way to meet our needs with our current strategies. So in this way, we're really thinking about design as a way to get to the heart of the matter, right? What are your true needs and longings? What are your values in this space or process? What would it feel like if your needs were met? What would it look like? What color would it be? And then what strategies can we think of once we've gone through the process of mapping needs? What are all of the different creative ways we could meet those needs? There are a lot of different ways to get to a high bookshelf, right? There's a ladder, there's a rope swing, there's standing on someone's shoulders, there's standing on a chair, there's jumping really high. Lots of strategies. Start with the need, and then you will have this expansive experience of generating strategies from which you can pick a few to try out. So that's my thinking on needs and strategies for today. Does that make sense to you, or do you have a different way of approaching the idea of needs? Drop it in the comments below. I want to hear how people relate to this, and if it resonates for you, or if you are coming at it from a slightly different perspective and what that is. I would love to hear. You can find out more about design process elsewhere on this channel or on my websites, racheleconomy.com or indexforthenextworld.com. There are blog posts about what is design. I do one-on-one and organizational work with this, and I would love to chat with you about it. You can set up a free call with me if you want, or just chat down here in the comments. Thanks for joining today. We'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.